What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and we are finally moving on to UC0096 as we begin our coverage of Mobile Suit Gundam Unicorn. The Second Neo-Zeon War is a thing of the past. EFF has once again doubled down on eliminating Zeon remnants and created the UC project to create mobile suits to make this a reality. We will also learn of the UC charter created in UC0001. So let's get into this. 2340 GMT UC0001 Laplace. To usher in a new era to unite the Earth with space, Laplace was created to act as an official residence for EFF Prime Minister Ricardo Martinez. This was a Stanford Torus-type space colony, which completed a rotation every 75 seconds, simulating a gravity close to the moon. This day marks an end of the Anno Domini timeline. Ricardo gives a speech to the people, inviting the press and people of great importance to the Federation. Martinez was planning on showing off the new Universal Century Charter, which would plot a course for the future of humanity as it pushed towards the stars. The charter was originally etched in stone. The Earth Federation and its member states, to pursue the expansion of space activities and to protect the Earth's environment, shall adopt the unified era named the Universal Century as a symbol of the unity of the human race. The most important part of this charter is the final article, Article 15. The Earth Federation shall prepare for the following articles for the future of human race with high hopes and expectations. Section 1. In preparation for an extraterrestrial biological emergency, the Earth Federation shall increase and expand research and preparedness. This has never happened thus far, but what has happened so far is Section 2. In the future, should the emergence of a new space-adopted human race be confirmed, the Earth Federation shall give priority to involving them in the administration of the government. The people of Anno Domini planned for the potential of new types before there was even new types. However, few people would ever know about this original charter. As Martinez gives his speech, a terrorist group was reprogramming the solar panels on the colony. It concentrated solar energy onto the colony, destroying it in the process. As the terrorists make their escape, their shuttle explodes. Everyone on board died with the exception of one man, Siam Weist. As he drifts out into space, he runs into the Universal Century Charter, etched in stone. This is Laplace's box. UC0096, Siam Weist is now an old man. He is met with his grandson, who is Cardenas Weiss. After 100 years, the Earth's sphere is at a standstill. As he hands off Laplace's box to his grandson, he wonders if he will be forgiven for what is about to come. Weist begins a deep sleep. A Klopp-class ship begins approaching the Garden Sierras while en route to Industrial 7, a colony run by Anaheim Electronics and is a part of the Shoal Zone of the former Side 5. The Garden Sierras is a freighter ship that is used by the Sleeves during the Third Neo-Zeon War to hide their whereabouts. But this is just a simple cargo ship with a spicy Latin name. Thank you. We will see that it can store the Kshatriya and Gear-Zulus, no problem. The captain of the ship is Subaroa Zinnerman. They disperse Minovsky particles. On board the ship is Minovazabi, going by the name Aubrey Byrne. Subaroa sends out Marita Cruz. If she looks familiar, it is because she was originally a clone of LP Puru. She was formerly Puru 12, who piloted the Kubli mass production type during Glimmy's rebellion. More on her past later. She calls Subaroa Master as a product of being groomed by Glimmy, but Subaroa is acting more as a surrogate father. She launches in the Kshatriya. The NZ-666 Kshatriya was intended to be a miniaturized version of the Queen Mansa that Puru 2 piloted. The Queen Mansa stands at 42.1 meters tall, where the Kshatriya is 22.3 meters tall. This unit was also installed with a Psycho frame. However, it was a one-off. It has 4 massive wing binders, which contribute to its amazing AMBAC system. Like the Queen, this unit requires a new type to pilot. It is equipped with a beam saber, a machine cannon, 24 funnels, 6 stored on each wing binder, 12 megaparticle cannons, a beam Gatling gun, and an I-field generator. It heads out to find a squad of Jagan D-types. The RGM-89D Jagan D-type is an improved version of the Jagan. These units typically function as support units to Stark Jagans and Rozelles. It is equipped with a Vulcan pod system, hand grenades, a beam saber, a general-purpose bazooka, a beam rifle, and a shield, which has a twin missile launcher equipped. Yeah, so anyways, the Kshatriya tears right through the Jagan D-types, no problem. It's kind of embarrassing, actually, but it looked cool, I suppose. on Industrial 7's college. A group of kids are attending class. One of these kids is our protagonist, Banagher Links. Banagher really hasn't experienced war. He was born after the 1-Year War, and all the other wars preceding it were relatively isolated incidents. They go to the AE Museum to look at a Zaku. Based on the whole, it looks like it was Denim Zaku from episode 1 of the original Mobile Suit Gundam. Amado proceeded to stab this guy. All of his friends are excited by the piece of history, but Banagher doesn't really care. As one of his friends tries to talk to him, he stares off into the distance and notices a horned mobile suit. It is Unicorn Gundam. The RX-0 Unicorn Gundam was developed from New Gundam and the Synergy Stein. It is the final stage of EFF's reorganization plan known as the UC Project. For the most part, the core of the UC Project is to utilize the Psychoframe technology to wipe out all traces of Zeon influence and what they call, and I am going to say it, Zeonism. Hopefully YouTube doesn't confuse Zeonism with another word that gets people's burqa in a bunch. Like most mobile suits designed for the UC Project, this was no different and designed to hunt out Zeon remnants. However, once it gets into the hands of the Vice Foundation, we will see it become a tool to hunt down Laplace's box. It has the anti-new type system incorporated into its operating system, which will be changed to the Laplace program. Psychoframes are incorporated into the entire frame of the mobile suit and is the first full psychoframe mobile suit. The responsiveness to this Gundam is so high that it can be controlled at the speed of thought, especially when in destroy mode. In this mode, the mobile suit can pull up to 20 Gs, and the pilot has to wear a special suit that dilates blood pressure to prevent passing out. We will get into the NTD system or anti-new type operating system later. It is equipped with 16mm Vulcans, a beam saber which doubles as beam tonfas in destroy mode, a beam magnum, a 200mm hyper bazooka, a shield, and much more. We will return to breaking down this unit a lot throughout this OVA. Cardius Vice is testing Unicorn with a random pilot piloting while he guides him. His right-hand man, Gael, informs him that there are still children at the school. He somewhat ignores this and heads back to the colony. Cardius is updated about the situation between Londo Bell and the Sleeves. Mobile suits were lost. Gael tried to contact Londinian, but the commander is tight-lipped. Cardius assumes Bright Noah is behind all of this. He informs the people to delete the NTD testing OS and upload the Laplace program. He goes to his office and looks at a file on Banagher. On board the Garancieres, we get our first look at a Gira Zulu as it travels towards Industrial 7 carrying Audrey Byrne. The AMS-129 Gira Zulu is the successor to the Gira Doga and developed by Anaheim Electronics on Granada. This is the evolution to the Zaku line of mobile suits. Unlike the first Neo-Zeon War, which pushed the limits and focused on new type-based mobile suits, the Gira Doga and Gira Zulu were a return to form that we once saw in the Zaku. This means that this isn't the best of the best. This is a good enough general-purpose mobile suit. This unit is simpler in design and cheaper to produce than the Gira Doga. The heavy armament backpack improves the MBAC system and increases thruster output. The Gira Zulu is equipped with a beam machine gun, a new slimmed-down Sternfaust, hand grenades, the return of the Beam Tomahawk, the Lang Bruno gun plus used by the Gira Doga heavy weapons type, and so many more weapons. Audrey heads into the colony and begins exploring. She then floats into an Acme factory, all Looney Tunes style, and gets flung out into the colony. She went from no gravity to gravity real fast. Banana is able to sense danger nearby. One thing I didn't note is that Banagher has his own Hado, which is a replica Hado. He looks out into the colony before running into action and jumping into the closest Totohachi. The TOLRO 800 Totohachi is a petite mobile suit designed for clearing space debris and can function in 0G. It is mainly used for situations where standard mobile suits can't fit. AE workers try to stop him, but he is able to take off with ease. The gravity within the colony works a little differently, and a complete rotation is probably slightly over a minute. Because of this, Audrey is currently falling in a spiral pattern, even though it looks like she's falling. Physics, how does it work? Banagher calculates the course, opens the hatch, and reaches for Audrey and pulls her into the cockpit. He suddenly runs out of fuel. He course corrects as much as possible, but they brace for impact. The Totohachi crashes down into the colony. He gets out of the petite mobile when Aubrey grabs his leg. He trips right onto his face. She demands to know who he is. She is in a rush and must speak with someone quickly. She says she is trying to prevent war. Audrey runs off, but Banagher says that it is bad to go alone. He joins her. She plans on heading to the colony builder. Banagher heard a rumor that there is a Weist Foundation mansion close by. While on the train, the security issues an emergency stop to investigate an incident. They are clearly looking for Audrey. The two get off the train. Marita Cruz is looking for her. She is trying to make contact with Cardius Weist, and she must not be allowed to make contact. The Colony Builder is a factory that builds colony blocks for colonies. A lot of Industrial 7 is still under construction. There is a factory tour happening soon. They head into the factory and take the elevator, but they are met with Marita and her crew. Marita Cruz tells Audrey that she needs to return to the ship. She doesn't want to go back because she believes that Laplace's box shouldn't get into the hands of Full Frontal. Marita and her men are just following orders and they try to capture her. But Banagher uses Hato to pretend to self-destruct. He also uses his banana jutsu to help Audrey escape.
They're breakdance fighting!
He does some sweet breakdance fighting. He drags Marita and throws her off the ledge as the two make their escape. Banagher realizes that he never introduced himself, but Audrey says that his name is Banagher. She heard Hato say it. She introduces herself as Audrey. Mikoto and Banagher's friends wonder where he is. They know about the Petite Mobile incident and wonder if it was him. Mikoto looks out with some binoculars to see Banagher with Audrey. The colony begins expanding. Banagher mentions that a colony could grow the more colony blocks they add. Cardius Weist is informed that Audrey has snuck onto the colony. Some wonder if she is acting on the Sleeves' behalf, but he thinks that she is working on her own accord. They head to the Weist mansion inside the colony builder. Banagher just walks right in. He instantly walks to a tapestry of a unicorn as if drawn to it. It says, "To my only desire," in Latin. He says that he has seen this before. Cardius Weist introduces himself and tells them that this is from a piece from France during the Middle Ages called The Lady and the Unicorn. Audrey attempts to introduce herself, but he suggests that she doesn't say her name out loud. She wants him to reconsider the Laplace box exchange. He simply tells Banagher to leave, but he refuses. Cardius says that he knows who his father is and can have any student expelled if necessary. Audrey also suggests that he leaves, though he doesn't want to. He says that he felt a connection and wants to stay with her, but Audrey says that it is best that he forget her. Banagher is escorted off the premises. Cardius tells Audrey that people are saying that Full Frontal is the second coming of Char, but he says that even someone like that must possess the proper talents necessary to open Laplace's box. Marita contacts Zinnerman, who tells her to come back to the ship and be ready as they are changing the exchange location. Meanwhile, outside of the colony, a team of Lotos sneak in. The D-50C Loto is a transformable tank mobile suit designed by SNRI and used by ECOUS. We will dive more into ECOUS, but briefly, they are the evolution of the Manhunters that we have seen in Char's counterattack. Remember when I said that we will start to see steps towards the miniaturization of the thermonuclear reactor in UC0096? Well, this is the first crack at it, and it shows in its height as these units are only 12.2 meters tall compared to the average 18 to 22 meters. This small body allows this unit to have an advantage in stealth situations. Even though this unit is small, you could still pack 8 people into the unit when in tank mode. However, the Loto is operated by 3 crew members, a pilot and a communications officer in the upper torso, and a vehicle commander in the lower torso. It is equipped with a beam burner, which is like a beam saber, but hotter and designed to melt things. It also has a long cannon, a missile container, a mega machine cannon, and an optional right shoulder mounted machine cannon. Zinnerman meets with Cardius about the exchange. Outside of the colony, the Girazula pilot's sensors are messed up. He suddenly notices Londo Bell in the distance. It is the Roselle. The RGZ-95 Roselle is a part of the refined Zeta series, like the Ragazi, and succeeded in creating a mass-produced version of the Zeta Gundam. It stands for Refined Zeta Gundam Escort Leader. This was designed off of the Zeta 2 and inherits some features of the Mythos. It shares some internal components with the Jagan to cut down on cost and maintenance. The Roselle also has a Wave Rider mode, just like the original Zeta Gundam. It can also be used as a subflight system for the Jagan. It is equipped with 60mm Vulcans, a grenade launcher on each forearm, a beam saber, a shield, a beam rifle that uses E-packs, and a mega beam launcher. It could also use dummy balloons. Back on the Garancieres, Marita gets a new type flash. She senses Londo Bell. Cardius Weiss informs Zinnerman that they aren't giving Neo Zeon Laplace's box, but rather the key to the box. Zinnerman is confused by the situation and doesn't really know what the box entails. Cardius asks if he knows what a new type is. Zinnerman says that they occasionally run into someone on the battlefield with immense power. Weiss says that power is one form that it can take and is typically only seen on the battlefield. Cardius talks about the new type theory that was once proposed by Zeon Daikum. In his theory, he too referred to it as a power. On the outside, the Girazulu pilot attacks Londo Bell. He begins running away and informing the Garancieres, but they are able to take out the Girazulu with the ease. Merida is on standby. They try to get in contact with Zinnerman to get him out of the colony. The Kshatriya launches its funnels to take out Jagans surrounding the colony. She then launches herself and begins her attack. Cardius tells Zinnerman that giving them the keys to the box is something of a test. He says that the box has the ability to change Spacenoids forever. However, focusing on the revival of Zeon is a way to fail this test. He says that this is a narrow-minded ideal that needs to remain in the past, and this can prevent them from changing the future. Merida heads directly to the colony and begins fighting with Londo Bell. As the fight begins, Zinnerman pulls a gun and wonders if they plan on holding onto Audrey. Of course, Cardius was going to give her back. However, she will make her own escape. Merida takes out the Rizal with her funnels, but the attack was too strong and she blows a hole in the colony. Banagher is with his friends watching the chaos when one says that war is breaking out. This causes him to run back to Audrey as he remembers her words. Zinnerman and his team take off. EFF is using this opportunity to take their countermeasures to the extreme. Approaching the colony is the Nahil Argama. Last time we saw this ship, it was under command of Beecha during the First Neo-Zeon War. Launching in a Rizal is Rita Marquinez, who we will learn is the great-grandson of Ricardo Marquinez. Mikoto and Takuya are with Banagher when the Kshatriya comes in and begins tearing through the colony with its beam sabers. As it fights against Londo Bell, it blasts a hole right where most of their friends evacuated. Makoto begins panicking, so Banagher goes ahead alone. Meanwhile, Cardius is running from EFF, but he is stopped by a subordinate who betrayed him. They get into a fight when Cardius is shot. While escaping, Makoto and Takuya run into Audrey. The Kshatriya tears through a Lodo. The down Lodo comes crashing towards the kids when a Rizal comes in to protect them. Ride, the Rizal pilot, rescues the children. Meanwhile, Banagher finds Unicorn Gundam. Inside the Gundam is Cardius Weiss. He wants to know where Audrey is, but he tells him that she made her own escape. Cardius Weiss tells Banagher that he is his father. He's seen the confidence he exuded earlier and asks if he could carry that weight with him. He says yes. Cardius takes his hand and scans his biometrics. He is now the only person who could use the Gundam. Oh, now you care about security. It just took you 27 years to figure that out? And in the end, a kid still ends up taking it. He says that if it judges him to be a suitable pilot, he will be shown Laplace's box and it will shed light onto humanity. He tells him that he wasn't in his life because he didn't want to burden him with the curse that has been bestowed upon the Weiss family, but it seems he had no choice in the end. Cardius passes away and floats off as Banagher closes the cockpit and takes it all in. This is why the lady and the unicorn look so familiar to him. Banagher Links launches in Unicorn Gundam. Audrey is able to sense Banagher, and that is able to help Merida sense Audrey. But she runs into Unicorn and the two begin fighting. He pushes her out of the mobile suit. Her funnels are barely able to keep up with them. The NTD system activates for the first time. The mobile suit glows red. The cockpit chair activates to allow Banagher to take 20 Gs to the face. He rushes in and takes out one of the Kshatriya's shoulder binders. Rita takes Makoto, Audrey, and Takuya to the Nahil Argama. Everyone is informed that a Gundam is on the battlefield, which causes Merida to panic. She begins attacking Unicorn, but she picks up a message from Zinnerman to pull back. As she makes her escape, Banagher is picked up by the Nahil Argama. Back on the Garancieres, Zinnerman is being scolded by Angelo Soper. He is the royal guard for Full Frontal. They don't have Laplace's box, nor do they know the whereabouts of the princess. Angelo steps aside and we see Full Frontal for the first time. He looks and sounds exactly like Char Aznable. Suichi Ikeda plays Full Frontal, who also plays Char throughout the series. We will learn more about this Char clone as the series progresses. He is quite intrigued over this new Gundam that Merida experienced on the battlefield and wants to see it for himself. Full Frontal wants the Garancieres to follow EFF to see what their next move is. Zinnerman wants to rectify his mistakes, but Full Frontal tells him to not dwell on the past. We flash back to a moment in Banagher's past. He is hooked up to some contraption while playing the piano. Whatever it is too much for him and he can't continue on. He is confronted by someone that he calls Mother. The Nahil Argama picked up Unicorn after their encounter outside of Industrial 7. The ship has come a long way since the days of Beecha and UC-0089. The captain of the ship is now Londo Bell member Otto Midas. However, Dagaza Mackel, commander of the ECOWAS 920 Special Forces team, is also on board. The difference between ECOWAS and Londo Bell is that one, Londo Bell typically operates in space, and most importantly, ECOWAS is built for quick response and small-scale operation, whereas Londo Bell acts more like the space police for the colonies. I guess that makes ECOWAS the SWAT/undercover guys? Otto gets a little scared and calls a red alert. However, it was only a heat signature given off of the rubble of an abandoned Salamis. A little quick to the trigger there, Otto. Daguza, with the help of Anaheim Electronics technician Aaron, tries to get Unicorn open. Aaron informs Daguza about the UC project and about the psychoframe technology. Daguza says this isn't an official investigation, as Aaron seems to be nervous around him. Space cops, am I right? Alberto Vist comes in like a lawyer telling ECOWAS not to question his people. Alberto Unicorn is a part of the Unicorn family. So we have Grandpa Unicorn, Dead Unicorn, Fat Unicorn, Slutty Unicorn, and of course, Bastard Unicorn. What a family. Daguza is certain this new Gundam is connected to Laplace's box. He wants Otto to leave this sector of space immediately and head to Luna 2. Alberto says, Luna 2? That bitch-ass wannabe moon? Nah, let's go to Von Braun. Riddy goes to check on Audrey and informs her that he is the Rizal pilot that brought them on board.
Oh, I'm the Rizal pilot that pulled you guys out. My name's Riddy Marcinus.
This dude's grandfather is named Jorge and his great-grandfather Ricardo. Then this blonde-haired, blue-eyes motherfucker with the whitest accent comes out of nowhere. What happened to this beautiful brown bloodline in one generation? Maybe he's adopted and no one told him. Riddy and Banagher's friends, Mikoto and Takuya, want to go see this new Gundam. The bridge crew listens to Daguza and Alberto complaining over the comms. The drifting Salamis-class ship has decelerated. Otto already called back the mobile suits and doesn't want to look bad and send them out again. He uses the main megaparticle cannons on the ship. When they destroy it, they give away their location to the sleeves. Riddy, Mahito, and the kids heads to the control room of the hangar. While there, Riddy looks at Audrey and says she looks kind of familiar. He thinks that she is a famous actress, and Audrey is relieved. They watch as Anaheim Electronics and ECOWAS gets the hatch open. Takuya and Mikoto realize that Banagher is the pilot. Later, Banagher wakes up in the infirmary with his friends watching over him. Oh hey, check it out, it's Hassan. He was the doctor on board the Argama and the Nahil Argama during Grips and the First Neo-Zeon War, so he's most likely been the primary doctor on board this ship the whole time. Yeah, so anyways, here's a clip of Hassan trying to touch Emma's boobs.
Under your top, Emma.
Daguza comes into the infirmary and questions Banagher. He is currently being considered a prisoner who stole military property. Banagher tells them the situation of how Cardias gave him the mobile suit to protect everyone. Daguza finds this hard to believe. Banana whispers, would it be easier to believe that he is my father? Before being able to respond, the sleeves begin attacking. A Relula approaches their location and launch mobile suits. One moves at 3 times the speed of others. It is full frontal in Sinanju. The MSN 06S Sinanju was built off of the Sinanju Stein, much like Unicorn Gundam. I say built, but Neo-Zeon stole the Sinanju Stein and modified it to this mobile suit. This, of course, is manufactured by Anaheim Electronics and is a part of the UC project. Part of its movable frame is covered in psychoframes. With the exception of the Vulcans, all weapons have been replaced with Neo-Zeon weapons. Its head has been replaced with the mono-eye sensor, but it has a 360-degree panoramic view. But we have been told multiple times in the manga and other places that the mono-eye sensor can only produce a 180-degree view. I guess we are just ignoring that. This is all done along with painting the unit red to invoke the legendary Red Comet. Weapons include Vulcans, 2 beam sabers, a beam rifle, a shield which stores a beam axe and a grenade launcher, and a rocket bazooka. It also has the Intention automatic system, which is the evolution of Zeta Gundam's biosensor. The Sinanju moves quickly and destroys the Nahil Argama's anti-air cannons. As Riddy heads out to fight, Audrey grabs Banagher and tells him to come with her. She suggests that they head back to Industrial 7 and she will find a way to dispose of the Gundam. Banagher wants her to explain what she is planning. But Daguza walks in and says to Audrey he knows why she is here. He figured out who she is. Riddy launches in a Rizal along with Golem in a Stark Jagan. The RGM-89S Stark Jagan is a special forces version of the Jagan D-type and used mainly as a commander unit. This mobile suit has additional armor and thrusters and adds some features of the GM3 to the D-type Jagan. Its main addition is the triple missile pod on its back, which can be ejected after use. Other weapons include the GM beam rifle, along with the Jagan beam rifle, the hyper bazooka, dummy balloons, a grenade launcher, a beam saber, and Vulcans. It also has a shield and the Sea Serpent, which is the electrical grappling wire. One of his comrades behind him is instantly destroyed by Full Frontal. It does damage to the port side catapult. As Riddy tries to hold his own against the Sinanju, Alberto explains to the crew that the Sinanju was stolen 2 years ago by Neo Zeon. He tells them that it is piloted by the second coming of Shar Aznable. Riddy can't land a hit on him, but Full Frontal is able to take out Golem in the Stark Jagan with ease. Angelo just sits back and watches as Full Frontal does damage on the battlefield. The Sinanju destroys one of Riddy's legs. He can't transform. That is when Daguza comes onto the comms and tells everyone that they have Minervazabi on board. Banagher also hears this as well. They want safe passage before giving Minerva back to Neo Zeon. However, Full Frontal has demands of his own. They want everything they have regarding Laplace's box, and they will comply. Daguza tries to claim they have nothing regarding the box, but Full Frontal knows well that the new Gundam they have received has something to do with it. He says they have 3 minutes to hand over the Gundam before they destroy their ship. Daguza thinks he is bluffing, but Minerva says that if that is Shar Aznable, then he would be the son of Zeon Daikum. The Zabi family killed his father. Why would he care if she or anyone on this ship lives? Daguza left the comms open while she said that, confirming that she is indeed Minerva to Neo Zeon. He thinks that someone still might be willing to die for that name, but finds it fruitless, and Neo Zeon would erase anything regarding Laplace's box if necessary. Alberto Unicorn panics and says that they should destroy Unicorn's electronics system. One man restrains him. Bitch, the comms were on. You were making the crew look desperate. Banana comes onto the bridge and tries to convince Minerva to leave with him, but she tells him to go away. He tries to do his best adults don't understand speech like every other Gundam protagonist. Full Frontal decides to destroy the ship. He wonders why they can't hand over the box. They don't know what it is, and no one wants it in the hands of their enemy, because it could possibly be used to destroy more people. Banana says that he will pilot the Gundam and fight against Shar if it means Minerva doesn't have to be a hostage. Full Frontal takes down the commander in the Rizal. Riddy is one of the last people on the battlefield. That is when the Gundam launches. Mr. Unicorn Man helped Banana access the Gundam. He believes this is a good compromise, but Daguza thinks this is just handing Neo Zeon what they want. Banagher launches. He spots Full Frontal and begins firing with his beam magnum. Angelo in the Girazulu Angelo type is watching the Gundam with Sergei in the Girazulu Guards type. The AMS-129 Girazulu Angela Sauper is the chief guard unit for Full Frontal. It has an additional blade antenna as well as the violet colors to help it stand out. This suit has a giant backpack which contains an extra generator, extra thrusters, and extra propellant. The suit is armed with the Lang Bruno Gun Plus, a long-range weapon to support the Sinanju in combat, and it can be replaced with a beam shot rifle when needed. It also is equipped with a beam machine gun, a beam tomahawk, a Giradoga shield, and a submachine gun. The AMS-129 Girazulu Guards type is the more standard guard unit designed to protect Full Frontal. When the Girazulu was first drafted, it had better armor, but was slimmed down once it was mass-produced. This is closer to the idealized version of the Girazulu, with its bulkier, more spikier shoulders. Like Angelo's version, this also has a bigger sleeve logo than your typical Neo Zeon unit. It is equipped with a beam machine gun, a Sturmfaust, hand grenades, a beam tomahawk, and a shield. The Lang Bruno Plus can also be used, though Angelo would have to power it or it would have to be equipped with the backpack. This unit is versatile and can pick up enemy weapons. Unicorn's beam magnum barely grazes the Girazulu and destroys it, killing Sergei. Angelo stops watching and goes into action. He attacks Banagher. The Sinanju attacks the Gundam, but he blocks the attack with an eye field. He thinks about Audrey, and this activates the NTD system. New type powers activate! Even as he goes 3 times normal speed, Full Frontal struggles to keep up, but he is excited by the thought of fighting the Gundam. Riddy comes in to support Banagher, but that is when Marita Cruz and the Kshatriya comes in and helps out. She grabs Unicorn Gundam as it deactivates NTD mode. They captured the Gundam. As Banagher passes out, the Laplace program is activated. Riddy talks to Minerva about what her family did in the name of war, but she doesn't really care. She realizes what his last name is and who his family is that he is referring to. Banana is taken to Full Frontal. He tries to shake his hand, but rather, he asks if he can see his face if he has nothing to hide. He takes off his mask to reveal that he does indeed look exactly like Char. He says he uses it mainly for propaganda purposes. The Vis Foundation planned on giving the box to Neo Zeon, so Full Frontal wonders why they would alter the plans last minute and give it to a kid. He assumes that he is related to the Vis family. He doesn't answer, but Angelo tries to intimidate them. He knows that Audrey doesn't want it in the hands of Neo Zeon, and after what they did to Industrial 7, he believes her. He doesn't know the contents of the box either, but he knows that a colony drop can kill half of humanity, so this box has the potential to do quite a lot of harm. Now, this is something interesting that Char, the Zombies, or even Daikum never brought up, and ultimately plays into the dichotomy between EFF and Zeon. Even though many Zeon remnants have had different goals over the decades, they want something similar. They want an oppressive government to recognize sovereign spacenoids. But in order to do that, change in the government must be done. Zeon is ultimately willing to tear down the establishment in order to create change. Unlike EFF, who doesn't make any change at the expense of keeping the establishment. You could have boring arguments about who is morally in the wrong all day long, but their conflict can be distilled into this core concept. Do we break it all down, or do we try to find a solution through the already established system? For Zeon, they believe truth requires that they break it all down before building it back up. They can't build on top of what EFF has already established without the system continuously oppressing spacenoids. Banagher agrees, but he believes that it doesn't give him a right to take another person's life. Angelo calls him a hypocrite and reminds Banagher that he killed Sergei, the Gear Zulu pilot, during their last encounter. Full Frontal reminds him he probably doesn't realize he killed someone yet. Banana is slowly starting to come to terms with what he just did. Before Zinnerman takes him away, he asks if he is really Char Aznable. He tells him that he is merely a vessel, and if that is what is needed of him, then so be it. Fat Unicorn Man tries to give a briefing to Londo Bell and the two new ECOS teams that merged to form a joint operation. They also receive new mobile suits. Alberto tells them that Palau is where the RX-0 was stolen. None of the officers are having any of this, as Vis doesn't know what the hell he is doing. Fat Unicorn Man says, "Don't worry, I threw a lot of money at it." As everyone yells, Captain Otto Midas just gets up and walks out of the meeting. There isn't much history on Midas, but you could tell that this is a man that watched a lot of good men die in the past wars, only to be stuck listening to spineless chicken hawks with money. A man who wishes there was change, but won't do anything to work outside of the system to make it happen. Fetty ideology at its finest. He runs into Daguza, who has a real plan that involves using the Hyper Mega Cannon. On Palau, Marita picks toddlers up by the ankles. Is this the same church Gennaro and Father from Moon Gundam were referring to? If so, things aren't going to go well for them. EFF begins their operation on Palau. Marita thanks Banana for what he did for Minerva. Meanwhile, Riddy breaks Minerva out of the brig. Also, why does the Nahil Argama have 19th century French modernist paintings on the brig? He tells her that they are going to Earth. As Marita takes Banagher back to her home, a drunken man stumbles onto him and slides him a note. When he gets a moment of silence, he looks at a note that gives him coordinates that tell him to go here if he wants to live. He realizes the battle is coming to Palau. As they head to the hangar, Riddy informs Minerva that the plan is to distract the military facilities on Palau to retrieve Banagher and the Gundam. Once they make it to the hangar, they are spotted by Mikoto. Minerva tries to calm her down by informing her that the way that people say her name in the English dub is stupid. Shamed, she walks away. One of the Neo Zeon pilots give a grand farewell to his son. That usually means he isn't coming home. Zinnerman is informed by Marita that Banagher made a run for it. EFF sets off charges on Palau as a distraction. The Nahil Argama preps the Megaparticle Cannon, or High Mega Cannon as we referred to it in Double Zeta. They fire and hit Palau. Daguza and his team move in. Full Frontal and Angelo enter the battlefield. It seems that they anticipated EFF's attack. They suddenly detect Unicorn on the radars. As Banana makes his escape, a Dryson begins attacking him. He begins crying and yelling, "I don't want to kill you!" and then proceeds to kill him. Riddy and Minerva head out in the Delta Plus Gundam. The MSN 001A1 Delta Plus is a transformable mobile suit made by Anaheim Electronics and is built off of the development data of Delta Gundam. It took components from the Hyakushiki and other Zeta program mobile suits. One of these consists of the biosensor from Zeta Gundam. It is also capable of atmospheric re-entry. Many of its weapons are stored in the shield, including a beam cannon, a 2-barrel grenade launcher, and a beam saber. Other weapons include 60mm Vulcans, the same beam rifle used by the Rizal, and the long Mega Buster, also used by the full-armor Hyakushiki Kai. It also could use Unicorn's beam magnum. Riddy helps some of his comrades in battle before heading to Earth. Drax begin attacking him, but Unicorn comes in to help. Also, I call it Drac because it has one less syllable, but do you refer to it as Drac or Draw C? Let me know. Riddy tells Banagher that he is taking Minerva to Earth and that his father is Ronan Marcinez. Nepo babies, man. Retcon Nepo babies. He puts his faith in Riddy for now. That is when Merida in the Kshatriya comes in and attacks Unicorn. She wants to know where the princess is and to surrender. Banagher tries to empathize with her, but she isn't having it. This activates the NTD system. Full Frontal is watching the fight go down, but isn't helping. In order for them to activate the NTD system, he must encounter a new type or a cyber new type. Each activation seems to bring the people one step closer to Laplace's box. Technically, it must be triggered by a new type. But what exactly is a new type? Ultimately, all that matters is that the NTD system is activated. Zinneman was left in the dark and is concerned for Merida. She is essentially being used as bait. Merida uses her funnels on Unicorn and misses. She tries again, but loses control. The funnels are now in Unicorn's control. Full Frontal explains that the NTD system is doing the heavy lifting here. The new type pilot is simply a vessel for converting psycho waves. Psychomu systems and psycho frames are all tools to convert psycho waves. Full Frontal says that man is slowly approaching a time when machines may be able to destroy new types, and that will certainly be a game-changing moment in history. Banagher begins tearing through Merida's mobile suit. Zinneman tells him that he is using Merida as bait. Full Frontal reminds him that she is Puru 12, nothing more than a prototype. Oh hey, they finally added airbags. Could have used that 20 years ago. As Banana goes in for a final blow, he is able to sense Merida. Her life flashes before his eyes, from the death of Glimmy to her meeting Zinnerman. Also, she has no reproductive organs. What? Why? Banagher brings the downed Kshatriya back to the Nahil Argama. They inspect the Neozeon mobile suit. The tech, Aaron Terziev, explains to Otto that it uses an older model of the psychoframe produced during Char's rebellion. They were all produced at Anaheim at Granada. They halted production because there are simply too many variables. Aaron says that the red glow on Unicorn is the exposed psychoframe. He says that Anaheim created this mobile suit, but even they don't understand the glow or the full extent of the psychoframe. What? Shut it down. These people are casually just tinkering with weapons of mass destruction. No wonder they shut it down. Mihito complains to Dr. Hassan about tying up the cyber new type. But Banagher, who is also in sickbay, tells her that she is a good person. Hassan tells Banagher of the concept of a cyber new type, which seems to be new to him. Merida wakes up and tells Banagher that what he experienced while piloting the Gundam was the machine controlling and consuming him instead of him controlling the Gundam. When in this state, Merida can sense her old master, Glimmy. She is still comforted by the thoughts of him, but she tells Banagher to be careful and to not let it consume him. Banana sees it as a curse. The Delta Plus makes it to Earth, where Riddy's dad, Ronan, is informed of his arrival. Meanwhile, Zinneman and her people focus on retrieving Merida. Fat Unicorn talks to his aunt, Martha Vist Carbine. They are transferring Unicorn to Luna 2 so they can try to open the box. She wants Alberto to come to Earth with Merida and take her to the old Augusta labs. She reminds him that EFF wants the box for themselves. Daguza orders Banagher to pilot Unicorn Gundam to open the box, but he doesn't want to do it and reminds him that he is not a soldier. Daguza tells him that he involved himself with 3 battles now. He is very much involved in this situation. He tells him that he should see it through to the end and lets him think on it. The Nahil Argama makes its way to the remains of Laplace. They depart with Alberto, who is taking Merida with him. The XO Liam wonders why the higher-ups are trusting a prisoner with a civilian. The excuse that they are using is that they don't have the facilities to handle a cyber new type. Banagher launches an Unicorn Gundam with Daguza in the passenger seat. They search within the wreckage. Daguza explains that in the age of Universal Century, the world needed a godlike figure to look after them. and thwart any form of terrorism. He explains that the destruction of Laplace may have been the best thing to happen for EFF. Banagher wonders if it was intentionally destroyed by EFF's design in order to thrust EFF onto the people. Dagaza says it wouldn't be the first time that has happened, but no one alive back then is alive today, except for one person. Once they reach the coordinates, they begin hearing the inauguration speech of Ricardo Marcinus. Suddenly, Minovsky particle density increases. They prepare for combat. Banagher is able to sense something and returns to the Nahil Argama. He is met with the Garnsieras and Girazulus. Zinnerman gets word that Full Frontal is making his way to the battlefield. Unicorn rushes in and attacks the Girazulus. One of the Girazulus is piloted by Gilboa, the one with the son. He tells Banagher that they are just here for Merida and that no one has to get hurt. Full Frontal begins his assault on Unicorn while Zinnerman's team focuses on Merida. While being transported by Alberto and his team, Merida wakes up and begins attacking, but a hole blasts through the ship, sucking everyone out into space. Merida hangs on and grabs a hold of Alberto. Full Frontal is trying to activate Unicorn's NTD system. Dagaza does a little backseat driving. He tells Banagher to open the hatch. He says that the NTD system started to activate when Banagher heard communication. Something about him is causing the Gundam to react. He tells him to start taking responsibility and heads out. He goes out and uses a bazooka on Sinanju. Full Frontal uses his beam saber and vaporizes Dagaza. This motivates Banagher to activate the NTD system. Gilboa and his team go to rescue Full Frontal. Sinanju and Unicorn are fighting as they get sucked up by the gravity well of Earth's atmosphere. Full Frontal tries to make his escape. Banagher takes aim with his beam magnum and shoots at Sinanju, but Gilboa's Girazulu blocks and protects Full Frontal, killing him in the process. This is why you don't give long-winded speeches to your kid when you know you are in a narrative. Guaranteed death every time. Banagher realizes that he just killed Gilboa. Banagher has more Kira Yamato in him than I remember. This causes Unicorn's Gundam NTD system to deactivate as he falls towards Earth. Meanwhile, Minerva has finally made it to Earth to meet with Ronin. Siam Vist remembers the colony drop on Australia. He wakes up in a cold sweat. Time to watch some news. I'm sure that will not cause more anxiety. A battle has begun at Dakar. GM2s and Nemos fight a Juagu and a Kapul. The Juagu showed up in our coverage of hooligans, but we forgot to break it down. The MSN-04G Juagu is another mobile suit that was created at California base with the sole intention of breaking into Jaburo during the 1-year war. This is an amphibious mobile suit with a long exhaust that resembles an elephant trunk. Weapons include a 3-2 missile launcher, a megaparticle cannon, and a beam gun. The triple missile launcher can be switched out with a 5-finger manipulator arm. The gems get the upper hand when a gigantic beam blast tears through the city. It is the Shamblo. The AMA X7 Shamblo is an amphibious mobile armor created by the Xeon remnants with the support of Neo Xeon. The machine makes combined use of 3 different propulsion systems: jet propulsion, electromagnetic induction, and Minovsky particles. This ensures low noise and high mobility, both in the water and the land. It was considered the Phantom of the Sea by EFF sailors. Its main weapon is the large caliber megaparticle cannon that can tear through a city. Other weapons include a pair of scattering megaparticle guns on the shoulders, retractable arms, and reflector bits. Coming into Dakar at that moment is Captain Bright and the Rock Hylum. In the hangar, a team of Jestas prep for launch. The RGM-96X Jesta is a special operations Jagan series mobile suit developed by Anaheim Electronics. It has a new beam rifle, which has rapid fire mode and improved accuracy. The thrust on the jets is improved to keep up with Unicorn. Although designed to be escort units, these units exceeded expectations and they have 90% of the capabilities of new Gundam. Other weapons include a Vulcan pod system, 3 hand grenades, a beam saber, and a shield which contains a double missile launcher. Watching the battle go down, Siam wonders why Cardias chose Banagher. After the incident, Bright is summoned to the Marcinus estate. He thinks this is bad timing. Ronan is on the phone with Martha regarding Minerva. Fat Unicorn has returned to Earth with his package. Riddy apologizes to his father for bringing this burden. His father can instantly tell that his son has fallen for Minerva. He tells him information regarding his past, but we don't hear what he says. Riddy goes and cries to Minerva and confesses his love for her. He's making me really uncomfortable. Getting secondhand embarrassment. I'm also starting to understand why Minerva hates humanity. So many men yell and cry at her. I get it, throw another colony at him. Martha and Alberto ask Merida questions regarding the Kubli mass production type. We never broke this down during Double Zeta, so let's break it down now. The AMX-004G Kubli mass production type is a mass-produced version of the Kubli Mark II with improved offensive capabilities. It can also store 30 funnels 3 times times more than the Mark II. Unlike the original, it doesn't utilize the Psychomu controller headset. Weapons include a movable beam cannon and a beam saber which doubles as a beam launcher. Martha says she wants to free her from that machine. Marita panics at the sight of the Cubely. Ronan shows photos of the Garden-Sierras, which just entered Earth's atmosphere. He tells him that it contains Laplace's box and that he wants the Rock Hylium crew to capture it or destroy it. Ronan also tries to tell Bright about watching over his son, but he is cut off by his butler, who tells him Minerva has escaped. The ship went down in the desert. Zinnerman's subordinate Flash tells him that the only way they will be able to get the Gundams out of the ship is if they crack the hull. They will use that as a last resort. The two look at the Laplace program to see coordinates to an old Fetty base. It happens to be Torrington base. Banagher cries about Gilboa's death. Flash beats him up and tells him that he should feel bad. Minerva rests at a diner nearby the Marcinus estate. She sparks a conversation with the diner owner, and he tells her his sad story. While they talk about Char's rebellion, he smokes a little bit of opium. Opium. He says that the best that he has to offer people in these times is that he can make them a cup of coffee. Fetty security swarms the diner and they tell her to come with them. The cafe owner realizes she is Minerva Zabi. Martha. Martha tells Alberto that she plans on using Minerva Zabi as bait to capture Gundam Unicorn. She shows Fat Unicorn schematics for a new Gundam. Zinnerman and Banagher begin their 4-day journey through the desert. They're contacting the Zeon remnants that attacked Dakar. Banana loses his strength and continues his crying. As they travel, Zinnerman tells of the Zeon rebellion that led to the destruction of many ecosystems on Earth. The world is more poisoned than ever before. Even Dakar will soon be a desert. They rest and eat some Campbell's soup. Damn, Campbell's soup is still kicking in Universal Century. I need to invest. Banagher is now crying at the beauty of Earth. He wonders if Zeon and EFF's way of thinking can be merged into one. Zinnerman is certain that the old ways of EFF run too deep for any change. Banagher begins crying due to the sadness of humanity. He assumes Zinnerman hates that he is once again crying. Unlike the other times, this time he is crying because he cares. That is different. Zinnerman doesn't trust a person that doesn't cry because they care. Those other times, he was still being a bitch though. Days later, the Zeon remnants are able to pull the ship out of the desert. They meet with Kirks and Lonnie, the Shamblo pilot, and brief full frontal about Torrington base. He grants Lonnie permission to join the Sleeves on this operation. Around the world, Zeon remnants get a coded message to help at Torrington base. The coded message dates back to the 1 year, hey, is that guy wearing shorts with his Zeon uniform? One Zeon remnant group is living in a downed Pegasus class ship. I wonder which one. The Shamblo begins their attack underwater. Lonnie takes out a Juno sub with ease. Banagher wonders why they could use weapons from both the Federation and the Sleeves. The mechanic Tomuda tells him that there is now a universal standard that greatly benefited everyone. Banagher says, yeah, sure, more like benefited Anaheim Electronics. He's a sassy crybaby. The Delta Plus lands on the Rock Hylium. Bright informs Riddy that they received a distress signal from the Juno class, the Bonefish, and they are going to see if they could help. He is informed that the Garden-Sierras is on the move. The Zeon remnants begin their attack on Torrington base. Some mobile suits in this battle that we haven't talked about are the Gun Cannon Detector, the Gun Tank 2, and the Gallus K. The MSA 005K Gun Cannon Detector, or Gun Cannon DT, is developed from the Methus. It uses the Methus movable frame as a base and is co-developed by Karaba, the AUG, and Anaheim Electronics during the GRIPS conflict. By using the transformation mechanism of the Methus's frame, the Gun Cannon Detector can transform into artillery form by kneeling and unfolding its armor, giving it great stability. Weapons include a pair of Vulcan guns, a beam gun, 2 beam cannons with a 4.7 megawatt output, and a beam rifle with a 2.7 megawatt output. The AMX 101 Gallus K is a variant of the Gallus J. This unit has manipulator hands instead of the finger launchers of the previous version. It has a 3-tube missile pod on the right forearm, and its cannon on its back is the same as the Gaozong's Knucklebuster. Other weapons include a 2-tube missile launcher and a giant bazooka. The RMV-1 Gun Tank 2 is a redesigned gun tank with a removed core block system and less focus on making it a mobile suit. It was more of a predecessor of the Type 61 tank. The treads, the torso, and the head can all rotate independently. It is equipped with a low recoil cannon, a 180mm quadruple rocket pod, a triple missile launcher, a 60mm machine gun, and a twin smoke discharge. Full Frontals supplied some of the Zeon remnants with the new Z Zulu as well. The AMS-129Z Zulu is an amphibious variant of the Gira Zulu developed by Anaheim Electronics. It is more or less the same as the Gira Zulu, but it is modified to reduce underwater pressure and equipped with a vest-shaped diving device, ballast tanks around the neck, hydrojet engines, and underwater fins. It is equipped with a heat claw, a pair of heat knives, a beam machine gun, and a heat sword found on the goofs typically. Lonnie begins attacking an aircraft carrier. She calls out to her father and begins losing it. She begins attacking civilians in the nearest city. Riddy launches with the special Tri-Stars team consisting of Nigel Garrett, Daryl McGinnis, and Watts Stepney. Also Torrington-based soldiers jerry-rigged this rifle to a hover truck. Are you kidding me? That's amazing. The Garnciers is heading into the battle. Banagher wants to launch in Unicorn, but their mission is to wait till the Zeon remnants mop up Torrington before moving in. Banagher wants to save civilians, but Zinnerman gives him his "this is war" speech. And unlike Bright, Zinnerman isn't slapping. He throws and points a gun at him. Zinnerman isn't messing around. Damn, that looked painful. The Zeon remnants push forward, but that is when a Bjarlink Custom comes in and attacks. The RX-160S Bjarlink Custom is a testbed for the old Bjarlink data created by the Titans. It has more thrusters, which allows it to fly in Earth's atmosphere. Its new feet were initially used on the bound dock, and the arms on the Gabfly. The mono eye was replaced with a standard EFF visor sensor. 2 of these have been made, one of which will play a role in a side manga. Weapons include a megaparticle cannon with a 4.7 megawatt output, which also doubles as a beam sword and a claw arm. On board the ship, Banagher fights back and holds his own. Banana says, "I learned this from you." He gets Zinnerman to allow him to launch. Lonnie's comrade, Kirks, is in a Zaku sniper, sniping from above and a fat uncle. As the Tri-Stars and Riddy make it to the battlefield, Riddy realizes Banagher is there as well. He tries to get Lonnie to pull back, but she refuses. Riddy flies by and Banagher grabs on, but he wants to try to save Lonnie without fighting her. Riddy essentially says that it is in their bloodline for Zeon to be this evil. Damn, Riddy's a racist. The fat uncle goes down and Kirks jumps out and takes on the Tri-Stars. He tries to use his last shot to self-destruct his own nuclear reactor, but the Tri-Stars put a stop to him and kill Kirks. His death enrages Lonnie and she begins fighting again. This allows Banagher to activate the NTD system. Both mobile suits seem to be emitting a psycho wave. He calls her a hypocrite as she continues forward. He jumps onto the Delta Plus. Riddy tells him to use the beam magnum, but he struggles to bring himself to do it. The Shamblo fires. Riddy takes the beam magnum from Unicorn and fires, killing Shamblo. Delta Plus's arm is destroyed from using the beam magnum, but he used it, bitches. Riddy tells Banagher to get out of the Gundam, but that is when they notice a black Unicorn Gundam falling from the sky. In low Earth orbit, a base jabber from the VIS Foundation is carrying the new Banshee Gundam. The RX-0 Unicorn Gundam 02 Banshee was completed alongside Unicorn Gundam and was stationed at Augusta Labs. Banshee does not contain the La Plus system, and its operating system is designed mainly for atmospheric combat. On Earth, Banshee is superior to Unicorn in mobility and maneuverability. It is heavier than Unit 1 and has 2 different cycloframe armaments. Armed Armor VN is a melee weapon that stands for Vibro Nail. It uses claw nails and vibrations to strike the opponent and can be used for defensive purposes. The Armed Armor BS stands for Beam Smart Gun, which can anticipate movement and attacks. It uses its unique VFin sensor to analyze the battle data in real time and learn its enemy's movements. The shots aren't as strong as the Beam Magnum, but stronger than your typical beam rifle. This, of course, also has the NTD system, 60mm Vulcans, and a beam saber. They ignore Torrington Base's orders and launch the Gundam. As it falls towards the base, Riddy realizes that it isn't friendly. He tries to use the beam magnum again, but his arm is completely shot. Banshee shoots at the downed Shamblo, causing Delta Gundam to be pinned underneath the rubble. Banshee rushes Banagher and Unicorn, and it causes him to conveniently pass out for the sake of the story. He wakes up and is still in the cockpit. He realizes he is back in the hands of VFF. Next to him is the Black Unicorn Gundam. The pilot gets out and takes their helmet off. It is Marita Cruz. Just then, the La Place program activates, revealing the next location to the puzzle. Riddy tries to talk to Fat Unicorn about what he is doing back on Earth. He tells him that this is a family matter and lets him know that Banana is Cardius Vist's little bastard unicorn. Alberto talks to Martha, who is currently on her Garuda-class ship awaiting delivery of the Unicorn Gundam. They can't get access to the mobile suit, and it is locked to Banagher. That Unicorn didn't even know of Banagher's existence, but Martha knew this whole time. She plans on using Minerva to coax Banana into handing over the Gundam. Martha informs her that Cardius is Banagher's father. She wants Minerva to help Banagher give up the codes to unlock Unicorn Gundam. Minerva wants her to release Merida if she is going to help them, but Martha tells her that she is acting on her own free will. She reminds Minerva that Neo Zeon were the ones who created her in the first place. She is now programmed to take down the patriarchy for what they did to her womb. Nice! Too bad this doesn't last long. On the Rock Loom, everyone gathers in the briefing room. The crew is mad that the Vis Foundation has so much control over their operations. Bright says they are just following General Staff Headquarters, and the Foundation is a part of them. Bright goes to pay Banagher a visit after he was taken out of the Unicorn and interrogated. He doesn't want anyone to find the location of Laplace's box, because then more people like Lonnie will die. He tells Bright that Zeon never felt like an enemy to him. Bright lets Banagher know that every one of the Gundam pilots that came before him had a reason to fight. What is his reason? He tells Bright that he wants to protect Minawasabi. Bright goes to speak with Baltachika, who is working with Liu & Co. He wants to get into contact with the Neo Zeon freighter and has a negotiator that is willing to help them out. He is referring to Kai Shiden. Kai contacts Zennerman and the Gardancieres, and they want them to help with an attack to regain Minerva. Liu & Co. are competitors to the Vis Foundation, and Bright and the Rock Loom doesn't like when corporations have their grips in the hands of government military spending. Zennerman isn't sure that they could do this on their own. Kai says that they will have support from the ship that they had a nasty run-in. They will have to work with the Nahil Argama. Meanwhile, on the ship, Otto and the crew are getting anxious, being on standby for about 20 days now. That is when Mihiro comes in and gives him a message that they will be assisting the Garancieres. He purposefully takes a sip of his tea before reading and spits it out all over his team. What a drama queen. Meanwhile, Bright talks to his picture of Amado. Uh-oh, old man Bright is losing it. In the hangar, Banagher yells at Riddy, demanding to know where Audrey is, while EFF G-men, or Vis Foundation agents, follow him. Bright wants a word with Banagher. As the G-men follow, all of the crew accidentally get in their way to give Bright and Banana some privacy. Bright tells Banana that the Garancieres and Nahil Argama will be interfering when they hand over Banagher to Martha's Garuda. That is when he must go and find the Nahil Argama to keep Laplace's box a secret. Bright believes that he was chosen to be the Gundam pilot. Banana says something he's never said to a woman before.
I'm coming.
Audrey makes herself a croissant witch while reflecting on her rejection of helping Martha. Martha says that blood will be on her hands as well as the destruction of Zeon. But damn, does that sandwich look good. The Vis Foundation hires good catering. Riddy launches with the Tristar's, Banagher, and Pudu 12. Banana tries to talk to Pudu and refers to her as Merida, but Fat Unicorn tells her not to listen to the bastard. The Garancieres flies by the Garuda and begins their operation. The Garuda responds with Anxas. The RAS-96 Anxia is the successor to the Ashimar, but also has many components of the Jagan. Like the Ashimar, the Anxia is capable of high-altitude atmospheric flight without the help of a subflight system while in donut form. They can transform in a matter of seconds and can be used as a subflight system. This unit also uses the same goggle sensor as the Rizal. Weapons include 60mm Vulcans, a beam rifle, and a beam saber. It also has a movable shield binder. Everyone engages in battle. Pudu 12 tries to shoot at the Garancieres, but she remembers the captain and hesitates. Banagher comes in and stops her from attacking Neo Zeon. He tells Watts of the Tristar's, "Hey, nice space jabber. This is mine now," as he continues his fight with Banshee. Riddy notes that Banagher isn't killing anyone. Meanwhile, Zinnerman is doing an Air Force One on the Garuda. Pudu 12 tries to shoot down Zinnerman, but she once again hesitates. Riddy realizes that Zeon is going to try to save Minerva, and he goes in to intercept. As the Vis family preps for the exchange, Riddy comes in and ruins everything once again. Minerva says, "Dude, this is starting to get sad and pathetic." Riddy says, "Yeah, but boner." He says that CM Vist used the murder of his family to achieve political power. But the one-year war seemed to muddy up the waters over the course of the last century. Minerva realizes that he knows what the box is. An explosion goes off. Riddy wants Minerva to come with her and forget about the new type curse, but he is still denied. Take a hint, dude. Neo Zeon begins shooting, and Minerva runs off. Unicorn and Banshee continues their fight outside. As the Vis Foundation fights off Neo Zeon, Alberto reminds Martha that the two Gundams together have the ability to create a psycho field and realize that if it does, the Axis shock will happen all over again. Minerva runs into Zinneman, who tells Minerva to escape without him. She heads out to the edge of the Garuda. Ridley once again tries to stop it. Let it go, dude. She says that they are on 2 different paths, and she jumps off the ship. Also, he has the information that Minerva needs, and she's still like, nah, I'll take my chances jumping out of this plane. Minerva uses her new type senses and tells Banagher to catch her. He instantly senses her. The NTD system was turned off after the 5-minute time limit, but he was able to reactivate it. He chases Minerva and picks her up. They return to the Garden-Sierras to drop her off, and then he goes back out to help Merida. The 2 Gundams engage in battle and crash into the Garuda, where Zinneman almost dies. Crybaby Riddy does a little bit of crying. Merida tells him to shut up and attacks him. Zinneman tries to stop her from fighting and tells her to come back with him. She remembers her memories with Zinneman. Riddy tries to shoot at the Gundam before passing out. Merida realizes she is in the Gundam, but she hates the Gundams. Her 2 programs are conflicting, and they do a good old-fashioned reboot. Banshee shuts down, but Zinneman is there to catch her. Fat Unicorn Man has lost his new toy. The Nihil Argama makes it to the battlefield. They aren't sure if they should be helping a ship that was tailing them in the past. But honestly, Otto is just happy he has something to do. However, the Garden-Sierras doesn't have enough power to make it to the Nihil Argama and is slowly falling into Earth orbit. They don't have enough fuel to meet up if they have to go around the Earth one more time. This is their only chance. But what do they do? That is when Unicorn Gundam and 2 remaining Girazulus begin pushing the ship to keep up its course with the Nihil Argama. Zinneman believes that the ship is currently not working for Neo Zeon or EFF at the moment, and they can trust them. Otto deploys the Balut system and a tether cable. Unicorn's NTD system activates. Rather than push the ship, Unicorn grabs onto the tether cable and does a Spider-Man. The suit isn't strong enough to hold while entering the atmosphere. As he struggles, a green cosmic glow emits from the Gundam. The spirits of Daguza and Gilboa help him. Bright smiles as he had faith in Banagher. As Merida escaped with the Garden-Sierras, Riddy goes, "Oh hey, free Gundam." Suddenly, a giant megaparticle cannon almost hits the Nihil Argama. They realize it is the Dogoskyar ship, the General Revel. Zinneman thinks that this was a trap all along, but Minerva notes that they are targeting both ships. They plan on taking both out. The General Revel sends out Razel Type Cs and Jagan Type A2s. The RGM 89A2 Jagan Type A2 GR has general overall performance improvements than the original Jagan, and slight improvements on the propulsion system's output. It also has additional thrusters on the legs and backpack, which improve mobility. Weapons include a Vulcan pod system with an added sensor unit, hand grenades, a beam saber with 2 beam emitters, a beam rifle, and a shield. The RGZ 95C Razel Type C GR is specifically designed for the General Revel. These units do not have mega beam launchers that the Razels on the Nihil Argama use in the future. It also has a different color scheme. Other than that, these Razels have the same weapons loadout, which includes a grenade launcher, a beam saber, a beam rifle, and a shield. Banagher tries to fight, but he is out of fuel. There is nothing he could do. However, Angelo and the Rosen Zulu and Full Frontal in Sinanju comes to help out. The YAMS 132 Rosen Zulu is designed off of the Hamma Hamma and uses a quasi-Psychomu designed for old-type use. It uses Incom tech developed by Murasami Labs, which, yes, is the same used with the Mark V. It uses wired control beam weapons. The Psychojammer disrupts the connection and function of enemy Psychomu-guided weapons similar to the NTD system. The base of this model at its core is still Angelo's custom Girazulu. Other weapons include a Mega Beam Shield, which also include a Mega Particle Cannon and an I-Field Generator, a wired shield unit, and extra propellant. Angelo is able to take out the Razels and Jagans with his Incom system. Did he just make his mobile suit do a bow after showboating? I respect that. Full Frontal goes head-on with General Revel. Full Frontal and his team continue fighting the General Revel. Angelo in the Rosen Zulu uses his Encom system to tear through the Razel Type Cs. Full Frontal begins attacking the General Revel. The Dogoskyar ship fires a beam dispersal screen as countermeasures. The Sinanju's rocket launcher attacks directly under the beam rifle and carries 5 rounds. He shoots rounds at the General Revel and gets a direct hit. He fires his remaining 3 and uses a Jagan Type C as a shield. The General alters its course and leaves the sector. Now that EFF has been taken care of, Full Frontal will be able to talk to Banagher. Banana and Minerva wonder if Zeon and EFF can ever work together. He believes that it is possible, but it is hard to break the bonds that one has been born into. They are able to uncover the final location of the box. The TriStar team heads towards the Garden-Sierras location. Watts is in the new Jesta cannon. The RGM-96X Jesta cannon is a variant of the Jesta in the same vein as as the Jaga line, producing various Jagan offshoots as both are very similar in design. This adds a beam cannon, a quad multi-launcher, more grenades, and an enhanced beam saber. Along with the heavy weapons, this unit also has added armor, which can be taken care of to increase mobility if needed. Although designed for mid to long range battle, it can hold its own in melee combat. Other weapons include a 60mm Vulcan pod system, the Jesta beam rifle, and a shield. They try to hail the freighter, but they don't respond. Watts in the Jesta cannon jumps the gun and begins attacking. He is still butthurt the one time Unicorn Gundam dropped him into the ocean. He fires a warning shot in front of the ship. Little do they know that the ship has been abandoned and set to self-destruct. It activates after the attack. Nigel tells Watts to pull back when the ship explodes. The Jesta cannon can handle the explosion. Martha goes full Karen on Bright. Bright backhandedly says that I'm sure that third-party entities that are influencing General Staff HQ certainly have nothing to do with this. Bright wonders what exactly is Laplace's box. Martha says that if they can't capture it, they will destroy it, and she says that Londo Bell's services will no longer be required. On the Argama, Zinnerman is watching over Marita in the sickbay. Flash comes in and says, "Boy, remember when you saved this innocent girl's life from that whorehouse? We sure did come a long way. Oh, by the way, your beloved ship was just destroyed." Talk about not reading the room, Flash. Zinnerman flashes back to a time when he was with his wife and daughter. He tells the unconscious Marita that he initially wanted to jack the Nahil Argama, but she is now his only concern. Both Fetty and Zeon pilots butt heads on board the Nahil Argama. Takuya, Banagher, and Minerva overlook the Kshatriya. Banana doesn't even know who he will be fighting against, considering the current situation. Takuya wonders what he is going to do now that he knows the coordinates of Laplace's box. It is only a matter of time until the Sleeves and EFF start to question him. Chief Engineer Sito prevents anyone from passing until all of Neo Zeon has been removed from the ship. Many of the crewmates agree with him, including Conroy of Echous. Everyone gets riled up. Angelo comes in and makes things worse, but Minerva tries to calm everyone down by saying they need to work together for the time being. The captain gets on the comms and tells everyone that they must work together, and the people finally calm down. That was just what Minerva said. On the bridge, Full Frontal admits to the captain that they have been intercepting messages from Unicorn Gundam, knowing that the final location is somewhere in the shoal zone of what was once Side 5, aka Loom. However, they don't know the exact location and still need Unicorn to locate it. Captain Otto wants to know what his true intentions are with Laplace's box. Minerva comes in wearing her Zeon uniform, demanding to know the same. He takes off his mask and tells them Earth's flaw. The flaw is, in its current economic position, Earth can't function without the moon and the sides. Without the assistance of Spacenoids, Earth wouldn't be able to feed its 2 billion citizens, which is way less than Earth's current population. This is something that Zeon Daikum never thought of. Rather than seek independence from Earth, create a collective which creates a lifeline for Earth's economy, and then simply cut off that line and let them die, making them irrelevant. Full Frontal thinks this could be done with a super economic collective called the Sideco Prosperity Sphere. This would be an economic bubble that doesn't need the support of Earth. With that, the Federation government won't survive, and that is when the Republic of Zeon steps in. Remember, after the 1-year war, the Principality returned back to a republic. Even though EFF controls everything they do, on paper, they still hold autonomy and can step in during this moment of collapse. However, that will all change in 4 years when the Republic of Zeon gets absorbed back into EFF. Now this is one of the bigger retcons in the past 15 years of Universal Century. Within the Antarctic Treaty is a clause that states the Republic of Zeon will lose its autonomy in UC 100 and revert back to just being a local government. If they don't create this Sideco Prosperity Sphere within the next 4 years, they will lose their opportunity. He wants time to be able to build this. Minerva finds this all petty. She claims that all they will do is send Earth back to the AD era, an Earth that grows up in poverty while Spacenoids flourish. Soon after, Earth will have their own Daikum-type figure who will simply rise up against the Spacenoids, and the circle of violence will happen all over again. A new 1-year war, and nothing will be changed. The same outcome with a different winner. Full Frontal says that this is how the world works and that he is simply a vessel fulfilling a role. Banagher tells him that he is heartless, but when he was in the Gundam, he felt a warmth. Fool. Is his first name Fool? Never mind, I'll just say the whole thing. Full Frontal talks about the Axis shock from 3 years ago and how that was a psycho field which the psycho frame manifested all of the collective unconscious of humanity or at least those on the battlefield. He says that even after all that, mankind still hasn't changed. Minerva believes that Char is truly dead. She just straight up tells everyone that Laplace's box is at Industrial 7 colony builder Magellanic. Banagher is frustrated. Remember, Industrial 7 is located in a cleaned up section of the remains of Side 5. Riddy launches in the Banshee Norn from the General Revel. We will talk about this unit next video. Riddy flashes back to a conversation with the Fat Unicorn, asking him to recover Pudu 12 from the sleeves. Ew. Gross. Alberto is sending out Riddy without Martha knowing. If he can't bring back the Gundam, then he must destroy it. Riddy wonders if he is sure he is willing to kill his half-brother. He lets him know bloodlust is in their family and that people in his family have been killing each other for ages. He essentially says skill issue, bro. Banagher and Marita drink what I assume is Picari's sweat and talk about what foods she likes. He is still trying to get to know her, but she goes, "Don't hesitate, get into the Gundam. Learn how to turn it off, Marita." Meanwhile, some of the crew members, including Chief Engineer Sido, Takuya, and Mikoto, are trying to drive off Zeon by contacting EFF. On the Raylula, Full Frontal and Zinnerman are looking at the new red mobile armor. Zinnerman wonders if the hatred he feels was similar to how Char felt towards the Zabi family. Full Frontal says that if he were alive, he most certainly wouldn't be human. Ooh, ominous. Angelo informs Full Frontal that an EFF ship is approaching the Nahil Argama. A ship has received a distress signal. Captain Otto is unsure what to do. They notice Zeon ships with the Nahil Argama, and the ship preps to attack them. Angelo tells them to destroy the ship. They don't want to attack EFF, but they will send reinforcements soon if they don't. Angelo shows that he captured the EFF crew members plotting against them, and tells the captain that they will die if he doesn't make a decision soon. He is treating his lack of response as a way of backing out of the agreement. Otto says, "Hell nah, son. I don't listen to a guy wearing a marching band outfit. Look at this crew member right here. He's so proud of Otto." "You go, Captain." Captain Otto says that their arrangement is over. Echous is hiding in the vents listening. Once he says it's over, they make their move and save the crew members from the sleeves. In all of the chaos, Angelo makes his escape. The Garnciata's team heads to the mobile suit deck. Conroy of Echous tells Banana to get into the Unicorn and take out the sleeves mobile suits to slow them down. Conroy says, "Remember, Daguza died for you." Banagher says, "Thanks, Dick." Gunshots break out on the hangar deck. As Banana heads to the Unicorn, Full Frontal smashes his face into the Gundam and says that the box is for Zeon. But Banagher says he will use it for everyone. Full Frontal says that the only way for one person to achieve this is to become a vessel like he is, and says to come with him if he truly feels that way. He says that Cardius has been secretly training him on Industrial 7, which is no different from the training of a cyber new type. He says once you are a new type, you aren't a part of this everyone you speak of. I assume he thinks he is above everyone, but Marita and Minerva in the Ksatria fight him. Angelo gets into the Rosen Zulu and tries to stop them, but Marita pins him down. Zinnerman tries to get Marita to stop fighting. Marita calls him father and tells him that she can handle this situation. Zinnerman lets her do her thing. Banagher gets into the Gundam. As Angelo and Full Frontal escape the Nahil Argama, he says that now that they both know the last location, the race is on. Martha heads to Dakar after the city was laid to waste during the last attack. She meets with Ronan Marcinus. Flash asks Zinnerman what they should do next. He responds by saying to shoot him. Flash says, "Don't joke around like that." Zinnerman goes, yeah, joke, Angelo was seconds away from vaporizing Zinnerman in the last battle, and he seemed so happy knowing he was about to be taken out. "Someone let this dude die?" Angelo stares at the Rosen Zulu, gripping a rose. He is hamaning so hard for Full Frontal. Mashimer would be proud. The Nahil Argama and the Raylula make their way to Industrial 7. Banagher preps the new Full Armor Unicorn. The RX-0 Full Armor Unicorn Gundam contains the modifications created by Takuya while on board the Nahil Argama. This is one of the rare full armor modes where no additional armor is actually added. However, we have plenty of new weapons, including 2 backpack-mounted hyper bazookas and 2 grenade launchers with plenty of hand grenades. It also adds 6 Gatling guns and 2 additional shields. Its biggest addition is the 2 giant thrusters taken from a base jabber Type 94. All weapons can be ejected from the unit. It is also equipped with 60mm Vulcans, a beam magnum, a beam saber, the hyper bazooka, and an eye field generator. The NTD and Laplace system is of course the same. Banagher launches. CM Vist prepares for a visit. In Cheyenne, Wyoming, the Unicorn family and Ronin enter in an underground base. They are prepping a secret system. They have a clear line of fire towards the colony. They are ready to destroy the box to keep the secret from going public. It isn't the first time a Marcinist attempted to kill a Marcinist. This family sucks. The system that they are referring to just so happens to be Grips 2. During the Grips conflict, Green Noah 2 was converted into a Titan's base. And then, eventually, the colony laser. Bright was able to attain this information from Kai Shiden. Apparently, EFF fixed the laser after it was seized. The Foundation doesn't seem to need the box anymore. Bright makes his way towards Earth to intercept with Vist and Ronin. Banagher engages Riddy in the Banshee Norn. Riddy says, I'm a racist towards new types now. The RX-0N Unicorn Gundam Unit 2 Banshee Norn is the upgraded version of the Banshee and only has 2 changes. The armed armors BS and VN are replaced with the armed armor DE and XC. The armed armor DE is a normal eye field with more psycho frames along with 6 thrusters and a mega cannon. It essentially adds a built-in base jabber to the unit. The XC or Xeno Connect enhances generator output, which allows an old type to activate the NTD system. This will go on to influence the Nitro system. It has the same weapons loadout as the regular Banshee, including the Beam Magnum. Assisting the Nahal Argama is Conroy and Echous and the Jagan Echous type. The RGM-89DE Jagan Echous type is a special version of the D-type Jagan specifically designed for Echous. It can be equipped with a bazooka along with custom weaponry, but the loadout is the same as the Type D Jagan, which includes the Fire Nut Grenade, a Beam Saber, a Box Beam Saber used by Conroy, a shield equipped with a twin missile launcher, and a beam rifle, along with much more. The Mega Bazooka launcher was originally on the Argama and eventually moved to the Nahal Argama. I assume this is the same one used by Quattro back in UC-0087. Yagdogas and Bawus attack the Nahal Argama. The Bawu tries to ram the ship, but the Garnsier's team and their Girazulus take it out. Banana doesn't have time to deal with Riddy's emotions, but he is like, "Rawr, I'm a lion, bitch!" Both of the Gundams are trying to provoke one another. What happens when an NTD system responds to your enemy's NTD system? It seems to create a psycho frame feedback loop, which really creates an even greater psycho field than seen 3 years ago. The Rosen Zulu comes onto the battlefield protecting his man full frontal. He fires on the Nahal Argama. Marita wants to launch in the Kshatriya, but the captain always hesitates on his order. Zinnerman says he should let her go. She will be a distraction for Banshee while Unicorn makes a blitz towards the colony. Otto allows Zinnerman to stay on the bridge as a combat advisor. Riddy calls Banana a dirty, filthy, disgusting new type. Banagher says, "You idiot, you're a new type as well. Don't you hear all the voices in your head?" Riddy goes in full denial mode and attacks Unicorn. But Marita takes on Riddy and tells Banana to clear a path for the ship. As the ship moves in, the Sturm Gallus lands on the ship's catapult. The AMX-101E Sturm Gallus is based on the Gallus J and is specifically designed to penetrate defensive lines. It is 50% higher than the base Gallus, which vastly improves mobility. However, it left the mobile suit with a lack of thrusters, so it compensates by using the SZA's booster unit. It has a pair of spike shields, which can be used for defense or offense. Other weapons include a chain mine and a magnetic anchor. As a reminder, Shizrum seems to be the Japanese pronunciation of Sturm spelled out phonetically. You don't have to say Shizrum. You could just say Sturm. Kind of like Kshatriya making no sense in English, but in Japanese, Kushitoriya is akin to a 4-winged bird, which makes more sense. A Girazulu and Jagans try to push it off the ship, but my favorite Wu-Tang Clan member, the SZA, comes in to help the Gallus. The Sturm Gallus uses the chain mines on the ship. Conroy in the Jagan Echous type throws a mine on the SZA and takes on the Sturm Gallus. Banagher throws his boosters towards the Rosen Zulu. A Gaozome and a Zaku 3 begin attacking Unicorn, but Angelo destroys one of his own units.
The pride of Neo-France, the ultimate weapon, Rose Bits.
I can't be the only one who thought of my boy George during this scene. Angelo is able to deactivate Unicorn's NTD system. Meanwhile, Minerva tries to contact Riddy via new type connection. As Riddy fights Marita, she and Minerva try to reach out to him, but he ignores her and shoots and kills Marita. Banagher can sense this, causing him to freak out. Marita shows up in Riddy's cockpit and says, "Bitch, I'm a ghost." Riddy regrets his actions. Every one of the Nahal Argama crew can sense Marita, giving them a warning. She shows up in front of Zinnerman and says, "Bitch, I'm a ghost." She thanks him for giving her a second chance at life. In his anger, Banagher is able to reactivate the NTD system. He begins rushing Angelo, who starts to see visions of the captain. He says that he's the one who wants the captain inside of him and attacks his own cockpit with the incon system. Is this a not-so-subtle gay metaphor? Feels like a not-so-subtle gay metaphor. An Ewak Jagan uses its laser sensors to pick up 2 Indra-class ships and 1 Musaka-class ship approaching their location. The RGM-89DEW EWAC Jagan is a recon version of the Type D Jagan. It has enhanced sensing capabilities thanks to the large sensor unit attached to the head. It also has a second sensor unit on its left forearm and a large camera unit on its right forearm. Heat emissions are extremely low to keep heat to a minimum so it doesn't get picked up on any radars. Weapons are kept to a minimum as well and include a hand grenade, a beam rifle, and a beam saber. The Nahilargama fires the Hyper Mega Cannon, destroying the Musaka and 1 Indra. Meanwhile, what is Riddy up to? He's struggling. In Cheyenne, Bright conducts an investigation on the facilities. Mobile suits begin attacking the Rockeye Loom. 2 of these mobile suits are a Zeta Plus A1 and the Gustav Karl Type 13. The MSZ 006 A1 Zeta Plus A1 is a version of Zeta designed for Earth use. Because of this, the flight system and atmospheric reentry features are removed. The Wave Rider mode will eventually be added back to this unit, however. Its wing binders are also closer in design to the Hyakushiki. Weapons include 60mm Vulcan guns, a pair of thigh beam cannons where the beam saber is also held, a shield, a beam rifle, and a clay bazooka. It can optionally use the Rozel's beam rifle. The FD-0313 Gustav Karl Type 13 is a direct descendant of the RGM line of mobile suits and varies from the modern-day Jagans and Jestas. This mobile suit is all about large generators without sacrificing agility and maneuverability. It includes many verniers and controlled thrusters to help with fine movements of this fat boy. Weapons include EFF standards such as the Jagan beam rifle, a beam saber, a grenade launcher, a shield, and Vulcans. The TriStar team launches and takes care of the mobile suits with the swiftness. Banagher picks up Minerva and the 2 head to Industrial 7. Echous watches over them as they enter the colony. They see the same tapestry that they saw at the beginning of the series. Zinnerman wants to fight, but Otto wants to use the colony shield. Otto and everyone heard Marita's warning about something targeting them. That is when Magallanica stops rotating. Banagher and Minerva head into the lower levels of the Vis mansion. I love this scene where Bright just pushes one of the G-men, and absolutely no one says a word as they just watch this colony. Banagher and Minerva are welcomed with a sweet IMAX experience show of Universal Centuries past. They look down to see the Universal Century Charter. Minerva notices a new line. In case the emergence of a space-adapted race of humans is confirmed, then it is the responsibility of the Earth Federation to give them priority in involving them in the affairs of the government. Old Man Vist tells the 2 that this is Laplace's box. Now, I outright stated this in the first episode of our Gundam Unicorn coverage, even though the show makes it a mystery, because 1, the first scene in the show sets it up quite well, and 2, the concept of a space-adapted race deserving rights isn't really a stretch considering where this all starts. I will let Captain Otto sum up my thoughts. I don't know, was this a big mystery to you people? I'm curious. Vis wants to leave the box in the hands of new types. Riddy also informs the Nahilargama crew of the UC Charter. Once Ricardo forced most of humanity into space, he added the line, in the future, to atone for his sins. After the destruction of Laplace, CM Vist soon went on to help create Anaheim Electronics. Working with the Carbine family, they created a powerful entity that could hide the secrets. They didn't seem all too worried until Xion Daikun brought forth the idea of the new type, validating the box and thus making it a powerful weapon of influence. So they kept silent out of fear of a new one-year war. Something hits outside of the colony. Full Frontal is making his way to their location. As Vist simply wants to leave hands in the fate of new types, he says they could choose to show the box to the world or hide it. He doesn't care. He is about to die anyways. He can't even get through this sentence. Also, Troy Baker plays CM Vist. Banagher doesn't know which choice to make, but he gives some vague platitudes about protecting the future. Vist tells him that he has limited access to all of the Earth sphere's communication, and they may speak to the world if they like. How did he hijack all communication channels in an age of Minovsky particle dispersion? I have so many questions. But that is when Full Frontal makes his appearance and says, hold up, think of the possibilities. What if you used it as a bargaining tool instead? In the colony builder, Riddy finds a giant red mobile armor. It is the Neo Zeong. The NZ999 Neo Zeong is a mobile armor which docks directly with Sinanju. It has wired bits that can hijack enemy mobile suits and turn them against one another. Another special weapon includes the Psycho Shard Generator, including a giant ring which creates a psycho field which is shown to melt weapons, but it is said to actualize thoughts. It may also have the potential to let a new type see all of time and space. It's quite vague. Other weapons include 60mm Vulcan guns, a beam saber, a large caliber high megaparticle cannon, a large megaparticle shoulder cannon, a rocket bazooka, and a shield. It also has a stern booster and an eye field generator that can tank a beam magnum. The mobile armor sends out its wired bits towards Echous. It latches onto their mobile suits and begins hijacking their systems. The Jagans begin fighting one another. Full Frontal is controlling his machine through his mask, which is probably in the same vein as Puru or Char's Psychomo amplification thingy. Full Frontal takes off his mask. Wait, what about what's happening outside? Don't go AFK. He wants the box to be used as a bargaining chip. But that is exactly why he should not have it. Vis tells the Ghost of Char to let it go, man. Let the next generation handle things. It's over. It was over in UC0093, but here we still are. He goes, nah, bitch, my ideals. As he points a gun at the three, Vis goes, surprise, brain lasers. Unfortunately, Full Frontal makes his escape. Gael, the Vis family's right-hand man who we saw in the first episode, went out to protect the box and buy them some time. He is piloting the Silver Bullet. The ARX Silver Bullet is a variant of the Dolphin Wolf and created by Anaheim Electronics after getting a hold of the Axis mobile suit and reverse engineering it. It is more trimmed down and removes the megaparticle cannons in the abdomen. The VIS Foundation was given these units after EFF finished initial testing. Weapons include 60mm Vulcans, a Jagan beam rifle, a beam saber, and the INCOM system. It also has a beam cannon, a 12-tube missile launcher, and much more. Banagher heads out to protect Magalanica. Riddy helps Conroy and Echous. He sees Full Frontal entering the mobile suit. He unleashes an energy beam onto the colony. As Banagher makes his escape, Gael fights Neo Xiang and Banana gets into the Gundam. He tells Gael to fall back, but he's been waiting for the box to be opened and will protect it to the very end. Banagher screams out to the Gundam and it responds on its own. It comes to him and he gets inside the cockpit. Riddy joins Banagher and a cosmic glow begins to swell. Vist still wonders if new types truly exist. He believes Minerva should be the one who tells the world. Both Unicorn Gundams take aim and with their beam magnums, fire on Full Frontal. But the mobile armor's eye field blocks it no problem. Damn, that's a strong eye field. Full Frontal uses the Psycho Shard generator on the Gundams and it begins melting their weapons and armor. Mikoto and Takuya come to the bridge. While we were paying attention to Banana, these two definitely had sex. Unicorn Gundam begins tearing through the mobile armor and gets to the Synergy in the center of the Tootsie Pop. The Psycho waves begin resonating at extreme levels, and once again, a Psycho field is generated. Full Frontal asks Banagher if he has ever traveled through time and space. Well, there's a first time for everything.
You're about to go on a trip.
They transcend time and space and play the greatest hits of Universal Century. Banagher pulls himself out of the darkness as Full Frontal embraces it. The ghost of Lala and Char tells him that it is time to go. Neo Xiang begins crumbling apart and with it, Sananju. The metaphor of Full Frontal leaning towards the darkness and Banagher pulling himself out towards the light gets a little surreal in this moment. But if we want to try to make meaning, I assume the Psycho Wave generator is that strong of a Psycho Wave emitter. You die, but at least you get to see all of time and space. It might be worth it. As Riddy and Banana go to deal with the colony laser, Full Frontal's spirit flies off with Char and Lala. So what is Full Frontal, really? Him being a vessel for the hopes and dreams of Xeon make for a narrative metaphor, but if we have to take a crack at it, he is most likely just a cyber new type with Char's memories implanted into him. Don't forget, Nanai is a mad scientist. If you are following our Moon Gundam coverage, we just saw her find a way to partition a brain into two. She definitely had at least 5 Char test tube babies just waiting to be used. She's still out there. On Earth, Bright is trying to get Martha and Ronan to not fire the colony laser. After hearing Marita's voice, Alberto Vist is over Martha and his family. Bright says to consider him an enemy of EFF if they go through with this. But Ronan calls his bluff and fires the it's just a countdown timer. That was suspenseful, I thought. Oh, never mind. I guess now we wait. The fat unicorn yells out that Riddy is piloting the Banshee. Ronan just fired on his own son. Your father would be proud, but your grandfather would be disappointed. Banagher tells everyone, you know what? That psycho field is kinda neat. I think I'm just gonna tank this shit. Riddy joins him and says that they could put an end to what their ancestors started. 10 seconds left on the timer, and Ronan is panicking. The laser goes off. New type bullshit activate. The two use the psycho fields and their mobile suits to stop the attack. As Unicorn Gundam overloads, it begins to crystallize. The two are able to stop the colony laser from destroying Magalanica. On Earth, there is silence from everyone. Suddenly, Minerva transmits a communication to the world. Magalanica is still intact. She tells the world of Laplace's box and the original Universal Century Charter. Riddy does what he does best. He's gonna cry. He's always gonna cry. Zinnerman is the one to captain the Magalanica now that it is a drifting colony builder. Bright takes Martha in for questioning. Alberto tells her to let it go and to make a fresh start. Out in space, Angelo is still alive. He goes to find Full Frontal's escape pod only to find that he has passed away. Oh yeah, those two f***ed. Riddy goes to check on Banagher, but his mobile suit activates and takes off. Riddy follows suit and activates his NTD system. Banagher has become the ultimate new type. As the General Revel makes its way towards their location, Banagher uses the power of the cosmic glow to deactivate EFF's forces. As Banagher comes to, he says the name Audrey. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Gundam Unicorn. I will say that I enjoyed this more than the initial watch when it first aired, but boy, is there a lot of new type nonsense in this one. This is a love letter to Universal Century, but at times it does feel like we are putting a hat on a hat post Char's counterattack. Hey, that rhymed. Is it truly building on the concept of the psycho field we learned already, or is it all more of the same? In our next adventure in Universal Century, we will head 1 year into the future where the RX-0 Gundams have been locked away, but a third unit makes its appearance. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, if you believe in the power of the light side, you too can tank 92 million gigawatts of power. Peace.